Hi, I'm Jennifer Ansel, and I am a K-State Johnson County Extension volunteer, food volunteer. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about dehydrating. Specifically, dehydrating is a great way to, especially in the summer when you've got extra produce and you're not quite sure what to do with it, it's reaching the end of its life. It's a fantastic way to store. And today I'm going to work on sun-dried tomatoes, which is definitely going to be something that in the summer months we end up very excited to have, and then also very anxious about what am I going to do with all these tomatoes. So first I thought I might talk to you a little bit about different kinds of options for dehydrating. If you don't have a dehydrator at home, you may be surprised that you do. You could certainly use your oven as one, as long as you have a very low temperature setting, maybe a warm function or something around 160 degrees. Otherwise, you could purchase a specific purpose dehydrator. This one right here, you can say different layers. You can use as many as you want. It's got a nice round interior, and you can also buy trays that come with this. So as opposed to specifically having food that falls through, which you can use that for with our larger components, you can also put a silicone tray in there, and you can pour things like fruit leathers, which we'll do in another video. This one here also is stackable, but a nice option about this is that it gives you also some silicone trays inside, but also is rectangular, and so for fruit leathers, sometimes that's a nicer option. But we'll go ahead and get started with our tomatoes here. So essentially when it comes to any type of fruit that you want to dehydrate, you're going to want to make sure that you've done something to prepare it in, that it has as little water in it as possible. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut up our tomatoes here, some cherry tomatoes, and then we're going to salt them and allow them to sit for about 20 minutes, and that will leach out a lot of the water. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you, I'll salt them, and then I will show you what it looks like when they're all done and how we can rinse those at that point. So I like to cut mine in half long ways. The way that you can get the most surface area is also going to help extend or shorten your drying time. All right, so we'll go ahead and put a little bit of salt on this liberally, and then because we will be rinsing it off, we don't have to worry about that. And then we'll let it kind of drain in the sink for a bit. Go ahead and shake it up. And then we'll let that sit. That's will leach out some of that water. All right, our tomatoes have had an opportunity to soak in their water a little bit, so we're just gonna go ahead and give those a little bit of a rinse, because we don't want to have all that salt on them when they're drying. But it has had the added benefit of leaching a lot of the extra moisture out. And then you can use a couple of paper towels, and we can pat those dry in our colander. Make a mess here. You can just pat those dry. And then they're ready to go ahead and put into our dehydrator. So when we put them in the dehydrator, nice feature of this is that it's got airflow that comes in on both ends. However, the easiest thing to do is put them cut side up. Cut side up again is going to allow for a lot more surface area to get dried. And then once you've got these in a nice layer, you can pour them on, but you don't want them to bunch up in any one location. So once we've done that, then we're going to go ahead and dehydrate them. And we'll check them every once in a while. You'll be surprised, again, depending on how ripe your tomatoes are. Riper tomatoes will tend to be able to dehydrate quickly, whereas those that are maybe less ripe may need extra time. I usually set mine at about 150 degrees, and I start dehydrating for about 3 or 4 hours, and then I give them a check, and then that really helps me determine how much time they're going to need. Now, for me, when I'm done with my tomatoes, when they're all dehydrated, there's lots of different things that I can use them for. I personally like to make a little toast in the morning, throw some avocado on there, and then throw some of my sun-dried tomatoes on with a little bit of olive oil, and it's a wonderful breakfast. But a lot of people want to preserve theirs for much more time, and so we can sun-dry those. So I'll go ahead and get these covered up, and then we'll see what they look like when they're all done. All right, these tomatoes are already dried up, and you can see that they have they're a little flat, which is fine. You can dehydrate them as much as you want. And for these, I've had these dehydrated such that they will be nice and still a little pliant, but you don't want them to be, well, unless you want to have tomato chips, you want to kind of let them be a little soft. It's a balancing act in terms of knowing when they're done, because you want to make sure that there's enough moisture off of them such that they will not, when you put them into your bag, use that moisture and start to rot and deteriorate. So you definitely want to make sure that they are, most of that moisture is out of there. For me, another added layer of a flavor but also opportunity is to take these, I'll keep them and store them either in a jar or a Ziploc bag in my refrigerator. And then I can go ahead and add some of my favorite olive oil or a clove of garlic, and just enough oil to cover the surface, and then let those set for a few days. And then they make great gifts as well. You can just take those and give them as gift. You can also put basil, herbs in them as well. A little bit goes a long way, and even the oil itself can be used in cooking. So lots of fun things to be able to do with these. So if you've got too many tomatoes and you're looking for an opportunity for preservation, I recommend some sun-dried tomatoes.